Travis Wayne Goodsell. Sure enough, Friday night news dump. Is it worth saying I told you so? I mean, you're already not wanting to listen to me, and so obviously you don't believe, despite it happening. You're just going to deny it? I warned you in advance. There was going to be flooding, because there was going to be extra snow. I told you this after the midterms, and I kept telling you. And now it's happened. Despite at least one person who commented during this whole time period saying that I had a false prophecy, but it was about one of the name videos. People are just so dumb. You can't pick and choose and then misinterpret in order to prove me wrong. But again, it was prophesied. Mormons would do that to me. Section 45. But, yeah, I warned you. Don't let Nelson get that award. And he got that award. Not a single one of you listened. I posted the video of his audio where he's a racist. I've been doing all sorts of videos showing you how the church is racist, despite 1978, which was a whole con. The whole lifting the ban was a con, but it should have told everyone this church isn't true. We are not like Christians, because each and every single one of these presidents and prophets all claim to speak the words that Jesus puts in their mouth directly, not from reading scriptures. Christian priests and pastors, they preach the word from the scriptures. And it's completely different. These prophets of the great and abominable Church of Latter-day Saints claim they speak the actual, living, real-time words of God through their head and out their mouth, not from reading. It's a completely different doctrine. All Mormons know and understand this. Dear God. And so blacks have now been humiliated and disgraced. Why do I keep doing videos? I'm obviously wasting my time. Nobody left will listen. I'm only preaching to the choir of those who watch my channel. So only those who are watching are the ones who are actually agreeing. I had to get rid of Peter. Just like the Australian. You're not better than me. You're not smarter than me. You don't know Mormonism better than me. I am the foremost scholar of Mormonism. I am educated, degreed, published, experienced, and have made multiple decipherments of ancient languages, which have then been applied to scriptures where I have corrected the biblical text and have made multiple discoveries to that end. I have used that scientific process to restore and correct the real Mormon church history and the origins of the Book of Mormon. Nobody knows better than me. Here's the mosquitoes now. The pestilence that was also prophesied with all this. After the flooding comes the pestilence. It's a little tiny one, too. Which means it crept through the window. Little bugger. My second ex says that's a bad word. I don't know how. It's a bug. You're bugging me, so you're a bugger. I don't understand how that's a bad word. But, yeah, she was very idolatrous. But nonetheless, it's just... banging my head is only going to give me a headache. I'm from the 1980s of music as a teenager. And so, yes, bang your head. Should that be the theme song in the description below? Maybe. Yeah, it will be. And we're going to include this because I'm never going to get to it. I had to throw away the big pile of papers. I was frustrated, pissed off with all of you guys. Not the supporters who watch all my videos. Just Mormons. It's just unbelievable. It's blatantly obvious we're not Christian. I knew it as a kid, and yet I'm hearing contradictions. And so as a kid at Sacrament, I take the Sacrament flyer, and I'm writing all these notes, along with drawing pictures. And I kept them. And I had a big old huge pile, huge, a couple of feet at least, of papers. Little tiny papers, 8.5 by 11 papers, all piled up. A couple of decades worth. Actually, 3 decades worth. 2.5. And one day I decided I'm going to go through these. And I went through them, used my computer with the form that it wasn't Word, it was some other program, but I went through and wrote them all out, and then turned them into Mormon philosophy, or philosophy of Mormonism, I think was first, and then the second edition was Mormon philosophy. And I thought there was a Mormon theology. I guess I didn't get to that one. Or it could have been a chapter in the second book. But yeah, the second book is where I had Mormon illiteracy and some other stuff that I had included in there. But, I mean, dear God, learning of the Jews. See, as a kid, I didn't have Google search. I had to just put it on paper, file it away, and one day, if I get to it, I get to it. And so that's why it was so miraculous to be at the University of Lethbridge with my first wife, and to be there with the guidance counselor on my final year, and she's going over what I had taken and says, hey, we can do a minor on top of the 2 majors that we'll give you for a bachelor's, 2 bachelor's degrees. And we've got a geology professor who went to Harvard and studied Hebrew under Thomas O. Lambden. So we'll see if we can get him to do 1 class on biblical Hebrew for you. And he just happens to be among the top foremost in the world. Not just to be able to take biblical Hebrew. Because Joseph Smith in the King Follett Discourse, the biblical Hebrew text is wrong. And then he only gave a partial sentence translation. And everybody, even Mormons, say he was wrong. Well, lo and behold, guess what? He's right. So bleep you, all you Mormon apologists that work at BYU in the biblical Hebrew class. Bleep you. You betrayed Joseph. And so, yeah, I'm still getting hate comments. I'm still getting comments of mockery. I'm still getting death threats. I'm still getting the thumbs down. Mormons are disobedient to the president of the church, whom they claim is true and living, following Jesus, live, real-time Jesus. And even there are Mormons who say that Jesus comes down in the flesh and speaks to them and tells them what to do. We are not Christian. And so I don't understand why these Mormons who disobey the living president of the church, whom they go around and say they believe is true, why they're even in the church, why they're even saying that they believe him when they don't believe him. They don't follow him. If you don't follow him, you don't believe him. He told you in conference to behave. You didn't behave. I've got the proof. I keep all the snapshots of all your hate comments. It's just unbelievable. So, the big news. After my little venting, that's why I didn't do a video yesterday, or 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? And I only did one yesterday or something like that. Dear God. Or was it this morning that I did the video? And it was yesterday I didn't do anything. Regardless, I've had it with Mormons. Literally, I've had it. And I've been searching in my mind the Book of Mormon to find any kind of justification to keep on going. And all I can come up with is my arm is stretched out still. But, yeah, it is. I'm still open for you guys to come to me, but you won't. Even those who follow me and like my videos, you're not coming to me either. It's not about just trashing the church, guys. You have to actually hearken. You too. You have to hearken. Did you prepare for the flood in advance like I told you to? Are you preparing for the mosquitoes? You know, if it gets really bad, I've got bug zappers. I made sure that those got brought and secured to this location. So, but yeah, I learned about bug zappers on my mission. I saw a person with bug zappers, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And fireflies. Never seen fireflies in my life until I went on my mission on the East Coast there. That was awesome. And yeah, their butts do glow. That's weird. Anyway, Bednar is the one who did the video. It was in the Church News YouTube page. And so it's not on the Church News. That was a weird thing. Bednar was not listed. That was when I went to upload the video. I saw it on the main page without signing in. And come to Zion. The order has been given. Whether by my own voice or the voice of my servants, that's how they're thinking about it. And so it's not the president of the church saying, come to Zion. Because the church knows if it were him doing it, Mormons would. Instantly. They would drop everything and come to Zion. The church doesn't want all Mormons who are not already living in Zion to come to Zion. That's why they had Bednar do it. Because they're already trying to purge Utah of the undesirable Mormons and those who aren't Mormon and aren't Mormon anymore. This is what I've been warning all this time. Been doing all sorts of videos when they keep doing things leading to this action. They are purposely removing the unwanted so that they will have fully compliant followers. And once they do that, they can then say the whole state of Utah belongs to them, and they're a corporation, and so they, with their exemption clause, we are exempt from following the laws of the land, the United States, and we are a religious corporation, and we say that we don't want people who aren't Mormon with a temple recommend to come to Zion. Everybody must leave. And they'll have to comply. And the United States will go, oh crap, we never foresaw this coming. But they're doing it secretly. The order has been given out. And, as I've already also gone over with you, which I better remember to get the picture up on the screen, because when Nelson changed the temple text, the law of chastity specifically, in 2019, I've been doing all sorts of videos all these years warning you that Nelson has ordered polygamy. He's bringing it back. This is why I want New Name Noah to do another video, because the law of consecration says it's for the church and kingdom. But I heard in conference that kingdom was taken out when he was going over a summary of each of them. And so I don't know if he was just summarizing it and purposely misleading the audience, or if he was speaking from the changes that had taken place earlier this year. So I need to know. And I can't go to the temple to do this. You're the one who's been doing them. You are required to do it. So get going. This is vital here. The church is an enemy to this nation. Because if they don't overthrow the nation, they have to somehow figure out how to remove the unwanted people and use the exempt clause to establish Zion, to secede from the nation as an independent Vatican in the United States. And they're calling Mormons to come to Zion. And only the rich will be able to come to Zion, who will listen to Bednar. And so only the truly faithful, who are fully obedient, and who are wealthy, who can move, will be now coming to Zion. This is what Senator Lee was doing. He was trying to get a law passed through Congress to have foreigners come to the United States to work. This was all part of this. They wanted foreigners who were Mormon to come to Utah specifically, but he has to broaden it to make it general to try to get it passed. Because otherwise the other senators would go, oh, well, you're trying to do things for the church. Screw you. Just like they tricked people into getting the Respect for Marriage Act passed, because the exemption clause allows religions to still discriminate, and that will allow the church to discriminate, because the whole state of Utah will be one religious organization, and so nobody from the outside can come to Utah. And then the call has come out. And with polygamy, only the rich men will be able to be obedient to this, but he's requiring in the temple change, which I'm still haven't found. that you must divorce your wife because of the loophole in the United States law, because you cannot be licensed to more than one wife. But the church does not recognize divorces. You're still sealed to the women you divorce. And so Nelson is saying you have to obey the law of polygamy now. That's the new law of chastity. And with that change, men are required to divorce their wives and be rich enough, because thanks to my first ex, you now have added in the temple recommend questions, are you fully paid on your alimony and child support? And so yes, you have to be rich in order to be able to pull this off, because you'll have to support your ex-wives and any children from those wives, as she takes care of them and not you. Because that's how Mormons are. There it is. Okay. It's in pole position for the video. And so once you get everybody to Zion, and the church establishes Zion, and they secede from the nation as the Vatican of the United States, then you're going to have a whole bunch of criminal activity going on in the extreme, not in secret chambers and behind the scenes, getting away with it from the federal government eyes. And so, yeah, this is when the church can say, okay, you're sealed and you're taking care of them. So, yeah, you'll be obedient. And those who are obedient, who will be rich to be able to afford to do this, will be given leadership positions. Because only leaders are worthy for polygamy. If you're an elder, no, that's not a leadership position. Having priesthood is not sufficient enough. You have to be a high priest, according to section 76, in order to enter into the celestial kingdom, highest degree. And Brigham Young replaced Joseph Smith's monogamy chapter with his polygamy chapter and framed Joseph for it. But the linguistic pattern is Brigham's. And so now, with the law of chastity that Nelson changed, it overrides official declaration number 1, and boom, polygamy has been restored. But only the rich can do it, and the agreeing wives. So that's the bad thing. And so, yeah, this is just the start of it. There's disasters going on still in the United States and across the world. And it's going to be easier now for the rich. But that's how Brigham Young did it coming west. The rich were the ones who came west. The poor were forced to stay behind until Brigham Young started his perpetual immigration fund, the whole human trafficking operation mixed with sex trafficking, because he established polygamy in 1951 publicly in defiance of the United States. But yeah, this is now scary time, just as I told you. I was concerned that there may not be another conference, and that this April conference was my last hope to reach out. And yeah, it is. My views have tanked, and only the loyal followers are still hanging around. But are you hearkening? Do you understand how this is going to impact you? That's what I'm so frustrated about. is that despite the large number of views I got for the conference, it seems like it was all in vain because nobody's listening. And so, yeah, the flooding's occurring, and tensions are running high in the United States, and the church has put out the call to come to Zion. It is no more stay in your own land, because the church is now wanting to build and overrun Utah to establish it as the Vatican Zion. And they're doing it in advance, but the call now is for, we've got some time, because this is the bicentennial year of the second vision with the day that shall burn as an oven. And it's the final year of the latter days. And so he's doing it here in the springtime. And so you've got until September, when it's going to be even tougher for you to come, just like it was for the poor who died coming across the plains. They weren't able to go in the first batch and came during the winter time, and they were murdered by Brigham Young. Despite the one guy who said, "Oh, it's worth it. This is the true church of Jesus. I'd do it again." They're quoting him, but he obviously wasn't alive to do a recording. Reading from a journal entry or something like that. But yeah, this is disgusting. That here I am doing all these videos warning and exposing the church, revealing their crimes, their plot to overthrow the government and to establish their kingdom. And Mormons just refuse to listen. There's nothing I can do now. I can't force you to obey me. Nelson can, because you're forced to pay him money. He's compromised you. He tells you that you won't get an exaltation if you don't obey him. Your family won't be exalted if you don't obey him and pay him. And it's a debt to Jesus. It's not really him. It's just dumb. It's so angry and frustrating. So yeah, I really don't want to do videos. I've got a lot of work to do before who knows when it's going to be. The prophets know the date, and I know of September 22nd being the code for the day that shall burn as an oven, but we'll have to see. And then 8 April 2024, that's the final day of the latter days. And then the millennium starts. And so whether it continues on in past that, I don't know. It depends. It's because America are purposely trying to get Americans to cause the Civil War. And if Americans won't do it, if they won't go that far, if they become so apathetic that they just do nothing and sit back on their couch, or just sit on their couch and get angry at the TV, then the government will eventually have to take action and cause a 9/11 event. A day that shall burn as an oven. To force you to want to act. And it's disgusting that they keep pushing you to want a democracy. Democracy is the worst form of government. But the extreme, theocracy, or fascist government, where a supreme ruler takes away agency and forces everybody to conform and comply. Those are our only two options with the elections. And it pissed me off all this time, all these decades. And so, yeah, it's just so angering. And there's nothing I can do about it. I did my duty to try to save this government, to save this people. And nobody would listen who are in the position to listen. So, yeah, it's not something that I can just let go of, because this is a serious national security threat. This is my home. So, all right. But that's the big news. The rich are being called to Zion, as the rich are also being called to be polygamist. So, but again, the regular Mormons are obviously not wanting to be obedient. So they're not coming to Zion. They're sending me hate comments and death threats. They're not divorcing their wives. They're sending me hate comments and death threats. So, God, so frustrating.